Hi everyone, I'm Dale Smith, aka Journo Dale, and we're here to talk about Canadian politics. Some of you might have heard that John Rustad, the leader of the BC Conservative parties, is having some problems. He's lost a number of MLAs from his party. His executive management committee for the party wants him gone, and he refuses to go. We've even had a situation in the last couple of weeks where he searched everyone's phones at a committee meeting, a caucus meeting, to look for leaks, all of which is completely improper and generally a sign that he needs to go. The problem is he doesn't want to go and nobody knows how to push him out. This is a particularly bad problem in Canadian politics, which dates back to 1919, when the Federal Liberal Party decided that following the death of Wilfrid Laurier, rather than the caucus choosing the leader, as was the established practice in a Westminster democracy, that they were going to have a vote at their upcoming party convention, which was essentially a delegated convention, and that was how Mackenzie King got chosen to be Liberal leader and eventually Prime Minister. This is what I tend to term as the original sin in Canadian politics, and something I wrote about fairly extensively in my book, because this was kind of the first major break in Canadian politics where leaders stopped being accountable to really anyone. There's an anecdote that goes around about how when Mackenzie King got into trouble with his particular scandal and his caucus was trying to turf him, he said something to the effect of, "You didn't choose me and you can't remove me," or it may also have been like, 1,000 people voted for me and not you, so you can't remove me, something to that effect. And that's kind of where that real first break in terms of leaders being held to account happened, and it's only gotten so much worse since, particularly since we moved from, almost all parties now have moved from delegated conventions to one member, one vote. And it just keeps getting worse. And it's also created this kind of learned helplessness about how, we don't know how to get rid of these leaders anymore, outside of a leadership review. And Rustad apparently just recently had one where he passed, but there's been all kinds of allegations of dummy memberships being sold and so on. So it's pretty dubious in there as well. But again, leadership reviews are not a good measure, because a leader who can sell enough memberships, but who is still a terrible leader and is particularly disliked by caucus, who are the ones who has to work with him or her, it allows them to game that system so that they can stay in power until they need to be pushed out in some other way. Now, this is something that you have also heard about federally with Michael Chong's Reform Act, which is mostly garbage. But it was done in this intention of finding a mechanism to remove a leader outside of that process, but it creates strange dynamics. This particular version, his conception of how to remove a leader adds barriers, so it actually makes it harder for a caucus to vote a leader, and creates all these weird tests, which they shouldn't have. But more than anything else, it was done with this false notion that they were giving this power to MPs to oust a leader when they already had that power. That was never taken away. It was just kind of this learned helplessness of the kind of Mackenzie King thing, is in, you didn't choose me, so therefore you can't remove me. None of that's actually true. you can oust a leader with a simple vote of non-confidence. It may not have that in any particular party constitution, but if you have no confidence in your leader, they have to go. There's no two ways about it. And this is essentially the situation that the BC Conservatives are in right now. It's really all that needs to happen. People get upset and think that they need a framework, they need a Reform Act-like structure, but no, you just need a vote within caucus and 50% plus one. And the leader really has no choice but to respect that, because if your caucus says that, the majority of them have no confidence in your ability to lead them, what do? You hang on and watch as they vote against you in everything, or as they leave the party en masse around you so that you have nothing left around. Like, no, it's that's all you really need is a 50% plus one vote of non-confidence within the caucus, and the leader will have no choice but to leave. And we need to normalize this within the political discourse, because people go, oh, we don't have a mechanism. No, you always have that mechanism of non-confidence. And if Rustad has enough loyalists around him that he can pass that 50%, well, then that's when you start leaving en masse and making it incredibly clear and uncomfortable for everyone that no, his leadership is not tenable, it's not viable. And if he's going to reign over an incredibly diminishing caucus, then that sends all the signals that everyone needs that he no longer has that authority, the moral authority, to lead that party. And we need to stop just letting MLAs or MPs just wring their hands and say, oh, there's nothing I can do. No, you vote non-confidence. So really, that's kind of the message I want to say here. Stop pretending you have no power. You have that power, and exercise it. And the media is really bad at this, especially, is telling MPs or MLAs that you don't have any power anymore, that the leader's taken all the power and that you're just kind of there. Like, no, you have powers. You need to learn what they are, and you need to learn how to wield them responsibly, but you have all kinds of powers, and we're never surrendered. And, you may think you don't, because there are certain parties who like to say things like you only won because of the party brand, or we're a team and you have to be a team player. No, you have individual powers because you were voted on as an individual. That is how our electoral system works. And you need to wield those powers and stand up to your leaders in that respect. And these are lessons that have been lost, and they need to be reinforced and drilled into elected officials. That is how our system is built. That is why I wrote this book. So let's hope that the rest of the Conservative caucus in BC gets that message and lets their feelings be known, because Rustad will have no choice but to leave once there's a vote of non-confidence. And that's everything for this week. Join us again next week for some more Canadian politics. I'm Dale Smith. That's at journo_Dale on Twitter and journodale _no on Bluesky. And don't forget to like the video, share, subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Thanks, everyone.